Galaxy S23 Ultra and a package. Yeah, it's going back. And I will tell you why in this video. So let's get started. So this will be a little bit of a longer video for sure about the Galaxy S23 Ultra and why I am sending it back. So I will put it back in here. I deleted all my data already from this. Don't worry, there will be some photos still be captured, or I captured some photos and saved them, so you will still be able to see all the comparisons and so on, and have the original files there as well, so you can check them out. So the S23 Ultra. Let me first start with the too long do not read or too long do not watch conclusion. It's a good device, but it's not great. And let me explain it to you. So it's a good device in the sense of speed and fluidity. This was like a big problem that the previous version, the predecessor, had, definitely with its Exynos processor here in Europe. But thank you, Samsung, for listening to your users and finally putting a Snapdragon flagship processor inside of your European flagship model. So yes, the S23 Ultra has no issues when it comes to fluidity and software and speed and stutterings or something like this. Here and there you will notice some small slowdowns, but this is likely due to some non-optimized applications, looking at you, Twitter or Reddit. But overall, the experience is great, so no issues at all. The great Snapdragon processor here, 8 Gen 2, is performing very well. I know this already from the Vivo X90 Pro Plus that I'm recording here with, that also has wonderful performance values. And this is even like a slightly overclocked version of this, so it has a little bit more punch in there as well. And you will notice this especially in this version that has here, I think, 512 gigabytes of internal space. That's also using the very fast UFS internal space there. Then, resulting from this very powerful processor, but also very power efficient processor, is the battery life. The battery life is great. No issues at all with the battery life on this thing here. It can go solidly for one day, even a second day is no problem at all. And I can even start a third day if I want to, if I'm not browsing the web and surfing the web on 5G, for example. And it feels good in the hand as well. I was not expecting this to be feeling so good in the hand, with a slight nitpick that you already saw. At least in my model, we can clearly see that there's an edge, and you can hear it here as well when I'm going there with my fingernail. I can feel it every time here. To the back, not so much, but it's still there a little bit if I swipe into the other direction. I just noticed it because I have so many other flagship phones that don't have this in particular here. It's a bit of a sharp edge there. It might be my model, it might be some issue with my model. And no, I removed all, I'm sure I removed all the plastics around it, because some people were asking, yeah, you didn't move. Doch, yeah, I removed all plastics from it, yes. Anyway, so no plastics around there, but it has still a little bit of a sharp edge in my opinion. Otherwise, it's a big flagship phone for sure, but it's not bad. It's not bad. A little bit maybe here they could round it up a little bit, because if you're holding it like this for a long time, it's pressing quite into the palm of your hand. But overall, nothing to complain about that. Where I have to complain, or have to complain a bit, is the Samsung software still. I'm not a big Samsung software user, so One UI users don't see it as a problem. I see it personally as a little bit of a nitpick, not a real problem, but it's a problem for me. And one of the small little things that keep me from keep me from using it. I don't like using it. It was lying here, I was testing it, of course. I like to use it for testing, but then when I've done testing, just want to relax, want to read something, I'm not picking this up. I pick something else up because of those little nitpicks in the software that I really don't like. One thing is the app drawer, for example. It is nice to have an app drawer. I personally don't mind not having an app drawer. Usually on my Huawei phones, on my Xiaomi phones, I don't use an app drawer. And I'm fine with this. I'm organizing my apps the way I want to and only have like 2 or 3. And by the way, what's really cool, and I think this one also has it, is the possibility to have like suggestions, app suggestions that I always have on my second screen. So I can see my most used applications and can click on them. And Samsung also has this, which is very, very nice. So I don't need an app drawer in particular, but it has an app drawer, and fine if it has an app drawer, just like on my Sony phones, I like to use it. Usually I like to use it fast, and this is something I cannot get my head around it. Every time I swipe up to the app drawer, I try to swipe up again to get to the next page or to go one app further. And I always forget that you have to swipe left or right. And the thing with this is it's all, not only this, it's like saving the position. So if you were on the last page of your app drawer, you swipe up again, you will end up on the last page, not on the first page. And it's confusing for me. I did not get used to this and then swipe left or right. It was just like completely different swipe than swipe up or down, which is what I know from default stock Android and from other Android devices. Like if I activate the app drawer on my Mate 50 Pro, for example, it's the same. You swipe up again through even Sailfisher as your phone. You swipe up and then you swipe through your apps in a vertical manner, not in a horizontal manner where you like a little bit big, I know. But where I have issues is in organizing my files and folders. It's nice that we have the option to like select multiple files and then put them into a folder, which is very, very nice. So I can have like a check mark and check all the apps that I want to have in a folder, and then instead of like dragging them one by one through maybe multiple workspaces, which is super, super stupid. And yes, Huawei is it's still an issue there. They have another method, but it's not so great. And yeah, Samsung is using it or doing this very, very well. But what I really don't like is there's no enlarged folders. Vivo, Xiaomi, Huawei, Honor, they're all, maybe also Realme and others, all in Oppo, they all introduced a new large folder mechanism that allows you to have a folder, enlarge the folder so you don't see the title of the app that's in there. They're just as big so you can click on them to start the applications. I really like to do this to organize my social media folder like this, my app store folder like this, my streaming folder like this where I have Netflix and all the other things. And I really like to quickly start those. And here on the Samsung Galaxy, I often found myself clicking on a folder, it enlarges, which is also a bit weird that it's enlarging. It is like, should be user-friendly, but on, for example, the Asus Zenfone that I have here, if I have a folder, just like, for example, my social media folder, what it does is like, if it enlarges, you can see it's enlarging on the bottom. And it's only as big as my folder needs to be. And the top is free. And on the Samsung, it's like taking the whole screen, and especially if you have to only 5, 6 icons in there, they are arranged on the top, and on the bottom there's empty space. And I don't like that at all. I'm not sure if you can change it. I didn't find any settings there. By default, it is not set up, at least. So I don't like that. This is enlarged folders, and you have to click on folders, and then especially on such a large phone. On this phone I could like still understand it, because you can just simply get everywhere there on a 5.9 inch or something like this. But here, 6.8 inch, I think, yeah, it's not well optimized, especially when I'm talking about all the other things where they were thinking about, this phone is large, let's put everything a little bit down. This is something they missed out there. Then what I could not also get into my mind is, for some reason, if you create new widgets on the desktop or a new icon because you installed some new application that for some reason thinks it has to put an icon on the screen directly instead of having it just leaving it in an app drawer, it is just creating a new desktop for me. I'm not sure if it's a bug. I cleared the cache, I cleared the data of my home launcher, I even resetted the whole device. No, it is clearly there. When I have 2 home screens, and on one home screen there's at least 1 icon or 2 icons there, and I want to create a new widget, it just moves the new widget to a new desktop, even though there's enough space on the first desktop for the widget to be there. And the same happens for icons. For some odd reason, it's not putting them where there's space on the second screen, it's just creating a third screen and putting the icons there. And I could not get rid of this. Very, very annoying, I have to say, especially if especially if you have to 2 times reset the device or a second time reset the device and install all applications, and you have to just manage them then there, which is like something that I really don't like. And now we come to something that really bugs me with this device, and this is coming from the cameras, where everyone is praising the cameras. I'm like, what is so praiseworthy of these cameras in comparison to the predecessor as well? I don't see it. The 200 megapixels is marketing most of the time. There's not much more that it's bringing to the game. Yes, it has better stabilization, especially for video mode. Maybe they did also some hardware work there. Yes, it is a large sensor for sure. And yes, if you have very, very good light, the 200 megapixels give you a little bit more detail. But in 80–90% of the time, maybe it's the winter, the bad weather that I have here, I didn't see any benefits on this camera. And first big issue that I have, for some reason I cannot get it around it, is QR code reading. I had several applications that use QR codes for communicating, for establishing a connection with my camera, for example, or with another phone if I want to use file sharing application to share one file from another directly without using Google Nearby Share, for example, which not all my phones support. I could not get it to work. I could not get the QR code reader to work. So I had to, gladly this application has also the option to just have a list there of phones that it detected. So I could just click on there to share the files. But yeah, QR code reading, I had a problem there. I'm not sure why it's not working. It just seems like it's not focusing at all. Or you have to like be so far away. And it happened a few times that I would just shout out here now that Samsung has to repair it. And if they want to know which application I use the Xiaomi Share Me application that conveniently runs on all the applications and has very fast file transfer sharing, especially if you don't have Wi-Fi. Otherwise, I would use KD Connect, which always works and does not need QR codes. But for direct Wi-Fi sharing, if you don't have Wi-Fi nearby, this is working very fine usually. And then when we talk about macro mode and macro mode switching, when using the normal camera, I always have the issue that when you go a little bit close, like let's say this pen here, would be the distance, and I have this distance here, it's already switching to the macro mode. And I'm not kidding you, it is with this distance already switching to the macro mode. If you get closer, I could like this, I would really could live with, but it's already like this, it's switching to the macro mode. It's called some focus enhancing technology, what they're using. You can turn it, gladly you can turn it off. But still, it's something that for once or twice I did not turn it off and I thought I had a good picture, and it was then over sharpened and cropped in from the ultra wide angle. It did not look good. And this is something that I cannot understand, because the camera clearly, if you turn this focus sharpening assistant off, the main camera can have a little bit closer of a focusing distance, because it's not a 1-inch type sensor. Even the 1-inch type sensors, they don't have it. And this is the only phone that has this issue. The Vivo X90 Pro Plus also had an issue with focusing in general, also I think related to the macro mode, but never had this issue that it was like switching to the macro mode like way before it should. Sometimes it has some issues, like it switches and switches back and switches forward, something like this. I did not have this with the Samsung so much, but might be also due because it's switching so early into this macro mode, which is like something that, yeah, is not ideal, I would say, and I really don't like that. And then we come to the overall camera experience. Don't get me wrong, the camera software is fine, I would say. It's also nice that they have a Pro mode there, an Expert RAW mode, and a Pro mode, which has some very cool features as well. And I really like to see something like this, maybe with a better UI implemented from Samsung as well. It's very good, no doubt about it. Where I have issues with is the camera rendering and the camera processing. You saw my camera reviews, you saw my camera comparisons, I mean, with the various different other ones. Where I have always my gripe is like the colors, but maybe not so much with the colors. They're a bit punchy, okay? I know this already from Asus Zenfone 9, for example. It's the trend to have very punchy colors. It's like, it's more lively, especially in this dark, cloudy kind of weather that I have here right now. It makes the whole picture a bit more lively. It's okay. But where I have a major gripe is the over sharpening. And it's like, I had a major gripe with the Asus Zenfone 9, and I'm not kidding you, it is worse than the Asus Zenfone 9. In certain situations, it's just worse than the Asus Zenfone 9. I think Asus fixed it on the Zenfone 9, and it's not over sharpening so much. Here it is. On the Samsung, it is by default doing too much over sharpening. It is nice when you look at on this screen, 6.8 screen, even on a tablet screen, it just looks nice as long as you don't zoom into 100%. If you zoom into 100%, swipe a little bit around, see a tree with some branches, or see a flower with some fine little details, you will notice immediately that it's over sharpening. It's just too much sharpening. I don't have anything against a little bit sharpening here and there, but it's just too much if you see the white outlines around the branches and so on, which is like popping into the screen. And it's looking so artificial that it's basically unusable if you want to crop into something. If you want to share the photo on social media where people are watching it on or looking at on the 6.8 screen or smaller screen even, it's fine. No one will probably zoom in so much, but I don't like it. And it's my personal preference. Maybe other people like this kind of over sharpened look, but there's a reason why big cameras that have large sensors are not doing this over sharpened look, because it does not look good. And that should be the consensus. And this is why I don't like it. I'm not sure why Samsung is doing it. Could only imagine for the social media benefits there eventually. It's just too much sharpness. And it's so much sharpness that you can see already that the sharpness is the little noise that you usually would not see on this large kind of sensor, because it's just like calculated away, or just like because it's a little bit softer, the image would be gone. The over sharpening is just bringing in the noise into the picture. And I was astonished when I was switching off this over sharpening, because there's, by the way, a video that I did on how to make better photos with this one, where I can switch off the over sharpening or just tell softening medium or softening high, where it is just turning off this over sharpening of the picture. The picture looks fine. The camera is not the problem. There's no noise even, because this over sharpening is creating a little bit more or too much noise in the shot. You can see it especially when you do some close-up shots in not very ideal situations. Like it might be outside, the sun might be out there, but it's not shining directly. You're in the shadows and you want to photograph something, and you have an out of area bokeh there, and you will see immediately that there's noise. And this is a big issue that I see with them. And on all lenses then, I can imagine, yeah, on the smaller rich kind of lenses, the 3 times and the 10 times, there is noise, because the sensor is really small. So if you don't have ideal light situations, you have noise. But you have always noise, no matter which camera you're using. Even if you're using the one large camera that's 1/1.3 inch size sensor, you have noise there. If you don't have the sun directly shining and you're like, then you have noise there. And this noise is produced by the over-sharpening algorithm. I hope Samsung is fixing this, working on something that it doesn't need to be like the medium type of sharpness that I tried out in one of the videos, because it might be too soft for certain people. But take the medium one as base and then add a little bit of sharpening, but not so much to an extent that we have noise introduced into the picture. So this would be my suggestion for Samsung. So out of the box, the photos are not good enough, for sure. It is on all the flagship phones that I tested out: Mate 50 Pro, Vivo X90 Pro Plus, Xiaomi 12S Ultra, Honor Magic 4 Ultimate, even heck the Xperia 1 Mark IV, which has a way smaller sensor than this one here, and probably in terms of versatility might be not as good as this one here. They appear to be better in this noise handling, especially. And this is something that Samsung has to fix with a software update. I'm pretty sure they will, end of March or beginning of April, they will send out a fix that might also tune and tweak the camera to be better in this regard. I hope they also fix this over sharpening issues. Otherwise, it's like out of the box, not a good experience. You can fix it for sure, but it is a bit of cumbersome. Why do you have to download a new application from the Galaxy Store, where I think you have to have an account to download stuff from the Galaxy Store to fix this issue? It's like, it shouldn't be like this. And yeah, I'm talking enough about the cameras. You can watch my camera comparisons where I'm talking in very extended ways about this here. about the camera and the gripes that I have with the camera, and maybe the positives and the negatives. Just one short little sentence to the positives. The zoom, the 10 times zoom is very good. I still like it that Samsung is doing it. It's a very versatile kind of ultra wide angle, main zoom, and then ultra long zoom. Very, very good indeed. No issues with this. Software-wise, what problem do I have? Software-wise, eventually there's one thing, maybe software and hardware-wise, is like the pen here. Yes, the S Pen, I'm using it. I used it several times, and now as you can see here, usually when you put it out, it goes on and you can scribble something on the screen. This is some issue that I have with this pen. It's not always working. And the other issue is that sometimes I have this issue there where the pen is working, but then it's not connected to the device. So all the features that you have when you take the pen in your hand and you can swipe up, pressing the button to switch cameras, take a shot or something like this. I thought for the first couple of days I'm doing something wrong because I could not get a connection with the pen. Then I installed an update. Maybe after the update it worked, but I quite remember that after the update I tried it and it was not working. And at one point I got it to work, and then I recorded it quickly so you know that it's working in general, but I have more often connection issues with the pen where the pen just disconnects and it's not connecting again automatically, where I have this little screen that pops up here and it shows me then connecting and connecting. I get the menu where because I can interact with the pen already, but it's showing me the connecting, and then at one point connecting did not work or something like this as an error message. So something that Samsung has to fix in this regard. And another thing that Samsung probably cannot really fix is the charging issue. In this case, I would say I'm disappointed just by the charging speed, because I'm just used to here it's like 66 watt turbo charge, even 100 watt, 67 watt, 100 watt, 80 watt here, the Vivo, I think, and this here, I think this is only 33 watts, so this is like a little bit slower for sure. The Sony, and I was already disappointed by the Sony, the Pro Eye, the 1 Mark IV and the 5 Mark IV that had a little bit slower charging. But this here is has a large battery. I think charging via the cable is okay, because like I said, used to the Sony kind of charging. And Sony's devices are also playing in the same ballpark according to the prices. The issue that I have mostly is the wireless charging, because it has wireless charging. I like to use wireless charging. It's so damn slow, this wireless charging, that it doesn't make sense. I treated it as a phone that does not have wireless charging, because it's not even able to charge my Huawei watch for some reason. I could not get it to charge without the case on. I know that some have issues charging it with the case on. It's not going to work. All the other phones that have wireless charging charged it, even though the watch was like complaining it is not really working ideally. It's not charging ideally, but it was charging. On the Samsung, I couldn't get it to charge for some reason. And charging in general wirelessly, just treat it as you don't have wireless charging, because it's so damn slow with wireless charging. And these are the gripes that I have with this device. And what I will do now, not to make this video too long, hopefully it's still recording. Looks like it's still recording. I see the red light blinking there on the Vivo. I just wipe it on my shirt, of course, like a true tech expert would do it. And also the back here, so that you get a little bit of my fuzzy dirty dust. And then I will open up the case. You can see it's completely virgin almost. And I will put this sticker that was on the display. I will put it back on somehow. Probably not perfect, so Samsung don't hit me. I'm not doing it perfectly, but as good as I can. And I think I managed to do quite a good job, I would say. As if it would come out of the factory. What do you think? And then this thing was here lying on the back, I think, like this. Yep. And then I will put, that's so confusing how to put it in. I think I put it in like this. Yeah, it was like lying like this. Yes, I think it was lying like this in this box. And then this box comes in And yeah, I will seal it up here with some stickers as well, so it will not fall off during transportation. And then I have this cool Samsung box, enjoy your new Galaxy, which is a very, very nice thing that they did something like this inlay. And I'll put it back in here, and then I will print out the DHL kind of stickers, put them on here, and then we'll bring it back to be sent back, returned to Samsung. So this is the end for the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, on my channel at least. As long as Samsung doesn't decide to send me one for free that I don't have to pay for, because I gladly take one for free so I can can do some other tests as well when the new Magic 5 Pro or something else lands here. I could do some tests, but yeah, sadly, probably this will not happen. So this is going back to Samsung. I hope you enjoyed this video anyway, and you can maybe write down what is your experience. Maybe you have a completely different experience than me here, but maybe my kind of, I'm not a Samsung user probably. I will probably in this life never will get a Samsung user, more like a Huawei user, more like a Honor user, more like a Xiaomi user, and even a Sony user. And Vivo as well. So those are the flagship phones that I like to use, and that I think are, in my opinion, better than, especially when it comes to the things where it counts. And this is for me, cameras, and here 1-inch type sensor, almost 1-inch type sensor, variable aperture, real variable aperture. This is something that is working very, very well for me. And the money, I think, for the Samsung is, in this regards, the camera is a bit disappointing for me. I know if you're in the US, you don't have even those, no, you don't have so much things to choose from, and then the Galaxy is a good choice. And also, if you want something that you have can you keep for 5 years or something, and it's constantly updating with software updates, then the Galaxy is also a good device. But for me, it's not. So it's getting back to Samsung now, and that's really everything now for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time. Bye.